Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make really simple different textures for one material in Unity. So right now I'm in the Layers tab, and I right click, I make new layer. And basically I'm going to call this layer albedo, which is basically the hue or the color of the object. And that's what the texture is. And I'm going to just call this chest albedo, do 1024, which is the pixel size. You can change this to any square you want. I'm just going to do 1024, and then PNG, and then change this to a PNG, and then change this into, and then change the last channel, which this is the actually type of texture that we want to make, to diffuse, which is kind of another terminology for albedo, or the hue, or the hue texture that we're making. So we made a diffuse, and it makes a diffuse kind of folder, and it makes the layer, another drop-down layer into that folder that's called chest albedo. And in this we're going to make another layer, and it's the same thing, and we can make it maybe like black chest albedo black, or for cave. You know, it's because the one object could have two diffuse layers on it. So I'm going to give this some color on this layer. Maybe give it some rocks or something. I'm going to use my stamp. And I'm going to give it maybe a dark color. Just kind of wing it. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a tutorial for this. And I'm going to maybe just turn my stamp off, give it some color, maybe some yellow or something, I don't know. But you can do a lot of cool things with the stencil and stuff. I think we can paint this brick texture on there, like so. It's pretty cool. Turn it off. And then we can actually turn these off and on using these little balls right here. And then I'm going to make another texture. I'm going to right click and do a new layer, and then do just keep it as a diffuse, and then name this actually chest emission map, which this texture that I'm making right now on this layer will be for anything that I paint on this layer will be illuminated in Unity. So if I want to give this some crazy eyes or something, some crazy red eyes, I'm going to paint this on, like so. Oh yeah, that's going to be scary. And that's going to illuminate in Unity. And then the next and then the next texture that I'm going to be talking about will be metallic, like a metallic texture. So I'm going to just name this chest metallic, and then I could do reflection map. I'm going to do glossy, and then anything that I paint using black and white is going to be anything that's black is going to be very glossy. Like so. Maximum. Like that. Kind of messed up that. And we can enable and disable it. You really want to get your strength down to 2. So white being no gloss, and black being the maximum glossiness. Alright. And then next, I'm going to show you how to make an ambient occlusion map. So basically, ambient occlusion, it's a fake lighting on the object. So let's say that The inside here is going to be very dark inside this box. So on my ambient occlusion map, instead of rendering out and having a real light in the scene, rendering out real light effects, I'm just going to have a map that already pre-renders it and bakes that light onto the map. So that's what ambient occlusion maps are. It's just fake shadows and lighting on an object. So to make that, I'm just going to do UVs and UV maps up here. Do extract texture maps, new operation, and then I'm going to do ambient occlusion map. It's right here, and it should show you how to do it. And it should open up this tab. So you want to do add all, and then on the second high-res mesh, you want to do add all again, and then quality to be good. Yeah. And you want to do, I think ray casting is the best one. And with there's subdivision, and ray casting, which is way better. I'm not going to explain what's the difference. And then, and you can do the image properties. So I'm going to do 1024, and then I'm going to do, and then I'm going to select my output. So I'm going to do texture. Make sure you don't do p-text. Do texture, and then you're going to select somewhere I'm going to actually put this. So I'm going to do I'm going to put this directly into my Mudbox file. And I'm going to just call this AO, or just call it occlusion map. And you got to make sure you name it the object's name, which is chest occlusion map, when you save it. And you make sure you save it as PNG, 8 bits, and then extract. And you can see that it made it in the diffuse layer. So in the diffuse layer you have the ambient occlusion map, which is, it doesn't really enable it. I don't think it enables it in the Mudbox itself. And then you have your albedo, or your hue, you have your illumination, your emission map, and then you have another albedo map, which I'm just going to disable that. And then I think in my ambient occlusion map, I want to have more of a darkened shadow inside this box. So I'm just going to put a little black inside here. And a little black on the bottom too. Little fake shadows. You can kind of see that it made a little bit of shadows in here, but not that much. So that's really it. Oh. Alright, and we're done. I'm going to save it. So I'm going to show you how to make normals and bumps maps. And so we're just going to name this chest and then normal. We can call it texture, we can call it map. We'll call it texture, be more specific, whatever. And then we're going to change this to normal. And usually normal maps use different types of hues, like red pushes out, the red hue pushes out the x-axis, the green pushes out maybe the y-axis, and then the blue pushes out the z-axis, which right now that's my understanding of it right now. But since we're kind of just painting it on, we're not using a generator to generate this normal map. we're just going to just paint it on using black and white. So white being, I believe, when we paint this on using the brush tool, this will push out towards us. Yeah. Like so. It kind of lightens it just a little bit. And this is going to extrude the bricks on this. You can kind of see more of it. And then I'm going to switch it to black. Like a gray. And paint in the black is too hard, so I'm going to do a little more lighter gray. Isn't that cool? You can kind of see a 3D effect kind of forming. It's like kind of pushing the bricks out of the wall, kind of. You can, you know, I'm going to actually paint the bricks probably in the albino, give them more of a brick color maybe here. Because it's all these textures that come together that actually make the material and make them all shine together. It's not just one texture that you can kind of see them popping out a little bit more. So then we're going to make bump maps. Or actually height maps. So we're going to do chest, height, texture. So height texture map. And then we're going to do bump. Okay. So with these bump maps, these really are used to really push in and out the geometry more than a normal map. So because normal map usually pushes out fake geometry in a face, 3-dimensionally in 3 axes, but height map just pushes it just on 1 axis, but pushes it even further out and in. So by utilizing both these on top of each other, you can really start to see these bricks come out. So I'm going to start painting with kind of a white layer, and if I turn off the diffuse, you can really see this stuff pop out. Now watch as I paint this. Yeah, isn't that cool? Kind of a fake geometry on this face. So I'm going to just turn this back on. I'm going to turn on the albedo and start going to town on this. Shit. And I'm going to change it to maybe gray and then push everything out. Not out, maybe in, and push everything in. Get maybe more of a crisp edge. So if you turn off the diffuse, you can really see the stuff pop out. And the funniest thing about this is that since it's faking this lighting and stuff, if you look at it at this angle, you can literally see there's nothing there. It's magic. So in the I'm going to turn on occlusion, ambient occlusion, and since we're having these bricks pop out of this side here, we're actually going to paint some shadows onto it. Like so. So it'll give it even more of a 3D effect, or a fake geometry effect onto this brick, where there's actually nothing there. So next time you play a game, make sure you look at different textures and at different angles, because it will, you can see behind the curtain, because it's all tricks and mirrors. Look at that, isn't that cool? Like if I did this one, I would shade it underneath here. That's cool. You just save it. So the easiest way to export all these maps, there's many different ways to export these maps in Mudbox, but the easiest way, I'm going to show you the easiest ways to export all these materials. So basically in the diffuse tab, we have many different types of textures and stuff. So what we want to do is just right click on the one albedo map you want to export, then export select, and then find where we want to export that. Name this as chest albedo cave. Maybe the chest is in a cave, and then do it as a PNG and then save it. And then basically do that for all of these. So you can right click and then export selected. Or going into file and then doing export all paint layers. But before you do that, this actually exports everything that's showed. So right now, the only thing that's not showing is the opacity layer. So I don't want to export that, so I'm gonna hide that. I'm gonna hide other things that I don't want to export. So I'm gonna show these because I want to export them, and then I'm gonna go to File, Export All Paint Layers, and then we can see that on top here, export paint layers for, I'm going to do all models, because this is build up of like 5 models right here. So I'm going to do all models. I'm going to do a JPEG for the file format, and then, or I mean a PNG for a file format. And then we can see that we can actually make path templates, or different locations that we can save the file for. So I'm going to just make another one right here, and then call this real path. It's the real deal. And then I'm going to change it, or I'm going to pick where that is. I'm going to choose this, and then right here we can see that all of these right here are actually, if you click this checkbox right here, it actually auto names them using these templates, or using these words to overwrite all of your files and stuff. So maybe this is a faster way of naming them, but in this project we already named them specifically what they are, so we do not need to use this. Just ignore this right here for overriding the names of them. So in the diffuse group, we have 3 different textures. They're all different. So we want to keep these separate. So you want to actually pick the path right now, do real path. We could do where we want to export them, so pick real path. We're picking the location right now. And if you don't want to actually fill all this out, we can actually go up here and do override all paths. So that just gives it into one path, so that's pretty cool. Right here. And then if we want to merge all these layers together, we do merge channels, and then we can name it right here. No. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to uncheck that. I want to export all these separately because they're all separate textures. So chest, cave, please select that, copy that, and then do occlusion. And this names them right here in this column. I'm just going to go down the line and do this. Alright, so when that's done, we basically just press export. And this is just a better option of exporting this when for the albedo, because in Mudbox the albedo kind of behind the scenes gets separated into like 2 files, but by exporting it using this, that they actually merge the albedo into just one thing. So you can't see it in Mudbox, but it's actually separated into like 2 files. So I'm going to export it. And it says successfully did that, so I'm going to look into the folder that I exported it into, and we can see all of them right here. So basically I'm going to look into these files, or these JPEGs, and I'm going to see if they exported correctly. And I'm going to just kind of eyeball it and see if the colors actually exported correctly. I think this was maybe the top. Smile there, the bricks are there. That looks correct. And we can see on this one, I didn't want. This is the emission map, which is the illumination. We can see that there's a little red everywhere else, but there's red everywhere. And I just wanted a little red on the eyes, and then that's it. So we can see the Mudbox exported this one incorrectly, so I'm not going to use the emission map on this one. Whoa. And this one's the height map, so we can see I exported nothing, so I'm not going to use this one either. And we can see this one's the metallic, glossiness. It looks like I exported correctly. Yeah. So I'm going to use this one. This is the normal map. This one looks good because I only painted normals on the bricks. This is the ambient occlusion, the fake shadows. It looks like this is all here that it did export correctly. So I'm going to go into this, and I think the ones that did not export correctly was the emissive, emission, and the height map. So I'm just going to delete these 2. And then I'm going to show you other ways of exporting from Mudbox. Or when you save your Mudbox file, you can basically next to your Mudbox native file, Mudbox makes a folder that's named exactly like this next to your Mudbox native file, which is this right here. The names match. So you want to go into that, and these are all of your textures that you made. Some of them are, you can kind of see like the diffuse background, and some of these are kind of chopped up, but some of them work. Like the emission map works, the masking works, the mask texture, and then the metallic map is there, and then the ambient occlusion map is here too.